Have you ever wondered why some people seem to carry a quiet glow about them, a kind of lightness in the way they live? They aren't rushing. They aren't chasing. And yet, they seem to move through life with joy and purpose. This is not just imagination. There is a place on earth where this way of living has been preserved, almost like a secret garden of time, hidden from the noise of modern life. That place is Okinawa, a small island in Japan, famous for having one of the highest concentrations of people who live past 100 years. The secret of their long and beautiful lives has a name, Ikigai. The word doesn't translate neatly into English, but it comes close to meaning the reason you wake up in the morning. Some describe it as your life's purpose, but it's gentler than that, more personal. Ikigai is not about chasing greatness in the world's eyes. It is about finding that quiet spark that makes your days worth living, and holding on to it for as long as you can. When writers Hector Garcia and Francesc Miralles traveled to Okinawa to study this phenomenon, they were not seeking medical miracles or laboratory secrets. Instead, they wanted to understand how the ordinary daily lives of these villagers created extraordinary longevity. They discovered that the people of Okinawa had built their lives around habits so simple, yet so powerful, that they became the architecture of a long and meaningful existence. Imagine for a moment a small Okinawan village. The houses are not large or extravagant. They are simple wooden homes with sliding doors, often surrounded by a small garden where sweet potatoes, green vegetables, and herbs grow. In the mornings, you might hear laughter and conversation drifting through the streets as neighbors greet each other. No one is truly isolated. Children play freely. Elders gather together, not in nursing homes, but in groups where friendship lasts a lifetime. At the heart of all this is Ikigai. For one woman, her Ikigai might be tending to her vegetable patch every day, feeling the soil between her fingers, and watching things grow. For another, it could be teaching younger generations how to cook traditional dishes. For a man in his 90s, it may be playing the shamisen, a traditional stringed instrument, filling the evening air with music. These things may seem small, almost ordinary. But that's the point. In a world obsessed with grand achievements, Okinawa whispers another truth: life's beauty is found in the everyday. The book Ikigai invites us to step into this way of seeing. It teaches that longevity is not about defying death, but about embracing life so fully that the years naturally stretch themselves. The authors remind us that health is not just the absence of illness. It is the harmony between body, mind, and spirit. And when people find their Ikigai, their lives align in such a way that health follows naturally. One of the first lessons the book shares is that purpose does not have to be dramatic. It can be found in the smallest acts. A fisherman who wakes up before dawn to cast his net into the sea is not just catching fish, he is living his Ikigai. A grandmother who takes care of her grandchildren is not just babysitting, she is carrying forward the thread of family. Ikigai is about presence. About knowing that what you do matters, even if the world never claps for you. The authors interviewed centenarians in Okinawa and asked them about their daily lives. The answers were always simple. They rose with the sun. They ate until they were satisfied, but never stuffed. They walked or worked in their gardens every day. They maintained friendships that kept loneliness away. And most of all, they never truly retired. Retirement, as we often think of it in the West, was not a concept for them. They simply continued doing what they loved, what gave them meaning, for as long as they lived. Think about that for a moment. In many parts of the world, people spend their youth working hard, their middle years longing for retirement, and their old age trying to fill the silence. But in Okinawa, there is no sharp dividing line. Work is not something to escape from. It is part of life, but only because the work itself is chosen with joy. No one there is obsessed with wealth. What they value is connection, contribution, and continuity. Ikigai also connects to a unique Japanese concept called moe, which means a lifelong circle of friends who support each other emotionally, socially, and even financially if needed. Imagine being part of a group of friends who walk through life together, decade after decade, sharing meals, laughter, sorrows, and joys. These moe groups are not just friendships, they are families by choice. For the elders of Okinawa, moe is often what keeps loneliness away and gives them reasons to laugh each day. Another striking part of the Okinawan way of life is their relationship with food. The book shares that they follow a principle called hara hachi bu, which means eating until you are 80% full. Instead of piling plates high and eating until they cannot take another bite, they eat modestly, savoring the food and leaving just a little space in the stomach. This gentle practice protects them from overeating and keeps their bodies light. Even as the years advance, meals are filled with vegetables, tofu, miso soup, fish, and very little meat. It is not a diet in the modern sense, but a way of honoring the body without excess, and yet, the secret of Ikigai is not just physical. It is deeply emotional and spiritual. The people of Okinawa rarely carry the kind of stress we have normalized in the modern world. Their days flow with routine, yet those routines are not cages. Instead, they are anchors that keep them grounded. Waking up early, having tea, working in the garden, sharing time with friends, preparing meals, these rituals are threads of meaning. And when meaning is woven daily, life feels full, no matter how many or few possessions one has. The authors notice something else remarkable. Even in their 90s or hundreds, many Okinawans still moved with agility and grace. They bent down to garden, walked long distances, and carried themselves upright. Their bodies had aged, yes, but not in the way we often imagine aging: frail, dependent, and weary. Why? Because they never stopped moving. They didn't join gyms or obsess over exercise. Instead, their lives naturally involved movement, gardening, walking, cooking, dancing, playing with children. They lived in constant, gentle motion. It is this combination, purpose, community, diet, gentle movement, and joy, that creates a life of longevity. But the book pushes us to go deeper. It asks each reader, what is your Ikigai? What is the reason you wake up in the morning? This question is not easy. In fact, it can feel daunting. Some people spend their whole lives without asking it, and so they end up living in a blur of days, always busy but not truly alive. But Okinawa reminds us that finding Ikigai does not mean discovering some grand destiny. It may be as simple as loving your morning walk, or enjoying the feeling of painting, or being there for someone who needs you. Ikigai does not require applause. It only requires honesty, and perhaps that is why the people of Okinawa live so long. Because every day, they are honest with themselves. They do what feels true. They laugh. They rest. They give. They share. And they do not worry too much about the future. The first part of this journey into Ikigai teaches us to slow down and notice. To look at our own lives and ask, am I eating with gratitude? Am I moving every day, even if only in small ways? Do I have friendships that feel like moe, carrying me through life? And most importantly, what is my reason for waking up in the morning? The answers do not come overnight. But the search itself is worth beginning. Because as the elders of Okinawa show us, once you begin living with Ikigai, life has a way of stretching itself. Each day feels brighter, lighter, and somehow more complete, when we left Okinawa in the first part of our journey, we carried with us the image of laughter-filled villages, of elders who still garden with strength, and of simple meals that carry both nourishment and joy. But Ikigai is not just a story about Okinawa, it is a story about what it means to live fully, wherever you are. And to do that, the book invites us to explore the deeper dimensions of life, the quiet forces that shape our days and give us meaning beyond survival. One of those forces is something you may have felt without naming it. Have you ever lost yourself in an activity so completely that you forgot time existed? Maybe it happened while painting, cooking, gardening, or even solving a tricky problem at work. Hours passed, yet it felt like minutes. This state is called flow. In Japanese culture, flow is not seen as a rare gift, but as a natural part of living with Ikigai. Flow happens when what you love meets what challenges you just enough to keep you engaged. It's the sweet spot where boredom disappears but stress doesn't overwhelm you. For an Okinawan craftsman, flow might appear while carving wood. For a farmer, it may come while tending to crops. For a writer, it's in the rhythm of words. The key is not what the activity is, but how deeply you are immersed in it. The book reminds us that flow is not just pleasurable, it is healing. People who regularly experience flow feel more satisfied with their lives. They worry less because, in those moments of deep immersion, the mind has no space for anxiety. Flow teaches us to live in the present. And when life is made of many present moments, it naturally becomes richer, yet life is not always a gentle stream of flow. There are storms. There are losses. There are illnesses, disappointments, and failures. And so another layer of Ikigai is resilience. In Japanese culture, this is often connected to the idea of gaman, which means enduring the seemingly unbearable with patience and dignity. It is not about pretending pain does not exist, but about walking through it with grace. Imagine the elders of Okinawa, who have lived through wars, scarcity, and natural disasters. Many lost family members or faced hardships we can hardly imagine. And yet, when interviewed, they spoke not of bitterness but of gratitude for the small joys, for the friendships, for the chance to live one more day. Their Ikigai gave them a reason to keep moving forward. Resilience, the book suggests, is not a trait some are born with and others are not. It can be built. It comes from perspective. When life strikes, we can ask, what is this teaching me? How can I carry it instead of being crushed by it? Those who live longest are often those who learn to bend like bamboo in the wind. They do not break because they know life is not meant to be perfect, it is meant to be lived. This acceptance of imperfection is woven into another Japanese philosophy, wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi is the art of seeing beauty in the incomplete, the aged, and the imperfect. A cracked teacup, instead of being thrown away, might be mended with gold in a tradition called kintsugi. The crack is not hidden. It becomes part of the beauty. When applied to life, wabi-sabi whispers a powerful truth: aging is not a failure. Wrinkles, gray hair, and slower steps are not flaws, they are the golden cracks of a life well lived. In a world that fears aging, Okinawa offers us another perspective. To live long is not to cling desperately to youth, but to embrace each season of life with gratitude. The authors of Ikigai noticed that this attitude freed Okinawans from the anxiety of growing old. A 90-year-old woman was still singing with her friends. A 100-year-old man was still smiling as he repaired fishing nets. Their joy did not come from pretending they were young, but from cherishing what they could still do, what still gave them meaning. This is the quiet revolution of Ikigai. It shifts the focus from what you lose with age to what you can still give, love, and enjoy. Of course, we cannot talk about a long life without talking about health. But here again, the Okinawan approach is different. In the West, health is often seen as something to be controlled, measured, and managed through strict regimes. In Okinawa, health is more like a byproduct of daily joy. Because they eat lightly, move daily, laugh often, and maintain friendships, their bodies remain strong. There is no obsession, no punishment, no guilt-driven workouts. Instead, there is a rhythm of gentle care. The book highlights how stress is one of the great enemies of longevity. Stress wears down the body, weakens the immune system, and ages us faster than time itself. Ikigai offers protection because it fills life with meaning, and meaning shields us from despair. It doesn't erase problems, but it gives us reasons to rise above them. When you know why you wake up in the morning, even the hardest days feel survivable. As I reflect on this, I think of how many people in modern life feel adrift. They may have material comfort, but they wake up each day without a sense of why. The hours are filled, but the heart is empty. Ikigai is the antidote. It says, find what makes you feel alive, even in the smallest ways, and let that guide you. The book shares a moving truth. People with Ikigai do not fear death as much, because they feel they have lived fully. Death comes for everyone, but those with Ikigai meet it not with regret, but with peace. They have sung their song, tended their gardens, loved their people. What else is there to ask? But before that final day comes, they keep living. One of the most charming aspects of Okinawa is that the elders never stop planning for tomorrow. A centenarian might plant a seed in the soil, knowing he may never live to see the tree grow, but confident that someone else will. This hope, this continuity, keeps the heart young. So what does all of this mean for us, far from Okinawa, living in a faster, noisier world? It means that we too can find our Ikigai. It does not require moving to Japan or changing everything at once. It begins with listening to yourself, to your joys, to what gives you energy. Ask yourself, when do I feel most alive? What activity makes me forget time? Who are the people whose presence lights up my day? These questions are the doorway to Ikigai. Your answer may be painting, cooking, teaching, gardening, helping others, writing, or simply caring for those you love. The size of the activity does not matter. The sincerity does. If you find yourself unsure, do what the Okinawans do, live gently. Wake up with gratitude. Eat simply. Move your body. Laugh with others. Start small, and over time, your Ikigai will reveal itself like the sun rising slowly over the horizon. As the book closes, it leaves us not with instructions, but with an invitation. To live a long and beautiful life is not to chase immortality, but to fill our days with meaning. To greet each morning with curiosity, to carry ourselves lightly, and to keep moving, keep giving, keep loving. That is the Japanese secret. That is Ikigai. And perhaps the most important lesson of all is that your Ikigai is already within you. You do not have to invent it. You only have to notice it, nurture it, and let it guide you. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what is my reason for getting up today? And whatever the answer is, however small it may seem, follow it. That is the path to your own long and beautiful life. Thank you for listening to this journey through Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and beautiful life. I share stories like this every day. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.